I don't know if we should do a formal introduction or what, or do we just get into it? I have no idea. You know what I mean?
I actually don't know.
I mean, people usually do introductions every time in case people are just new people are watching just once.
Oh,
I think, I think, I don't think we do a formal
yeah,
introduction, to be honest.
yeah.
I think we just
I feel
do.
like it does change up the dynamic because I feel like it happened with the first one, whereas the second one, um, there was less actualization. It was just more us yapping.
Yeah.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
It's also, I feel like it's also bad to start with an introduction because like realistically, no one gives a shit
Y-
about like who
yeah,
you
yeah.
actually like. You know what I mean? Every time I look up like a YouTube video, let's say it's like a tutorial, right? And they'll be like, "Hey guys, welcome back. This tutorial is gonna tell you how to do XYZ." I'm like, "No fucking shit." That's why I clicked
Click
the
on the video.
tutorial because
Yeah.
I wanted to. You know what I mean? Um. So like, yeah.
Okay, I guess we can just get into it then. The topic is
Okay.
high functioning anxiety, right? And I don't know about you guys, but prior to actually deciding on the topic for this episode, I had no idea what it was. I thought it was just like a clinical disorder, etc., etc., like just something people get diagnosed with. I didn't know it was like more apparent behind the scenes and something that like little knowledge is spread on, you know what I mean?
Mm.
But yeah, I guess the first question would be like, do you guys know anything about it? What do you think it is?
All I know is it's not. I've heard about it before, but it's not a clinical diagnosis. You don't diagnose someone with high functioning anxiety. You can diagnose. There's actually like I mean, because I've done psych blogs. There's a bunch of different types of anxieties. This one just I think falls under like generalized anxiety disorder, which is like the most broad term of anxiety you can like throw out there for diagnoses. There's like this book called the DSM-5 in psychiatry, which is like the holy grail, and like it's annoying. It's such an annoying book because like it's just like patient should meet this criteria plus this criteria, one of these. It really like dehumanifies people, but like it is used to diagnose, and high functioning anxiety is not in it. Like it's a globally accepted standard. But I think it's just what I think it is in the brief reading I've done is just like people who have generalized anxiety disorder or any honestly any type of anxiety disorder, but they're still like they're not letting it affect their lives, which is why it's not diagnosable because it's not really affecting their lives outwardly. But in the behind the scenes, it's basically hindering them to do stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I actually saw that exactly. I would say as well. That it's not diagnosable because from the DSM-5, which I'm not sure exactly what that is. But I guess there's no way to diagnose it, which is why it's because it's so like when I was looking into it, it's such a weird like anxiety disorder because it's like a double-edged sword from what I got of it. So to answer your question of like what I think it is, it's like this constant fear of not working or not advancing, quote unquote, in your life. And so you're constantly anxious about, in a way, being left behind. And I feel like most people like have it to some extent, but it's not as extreme enough to be called high functioning anxiety disorder or whatever. Um, but I think the high functioning part, when I read at least, meant that you are able to still function normally in society, or it's very hard to tell if this person is suffering from anxiety or whatever. And that's why it's high functioning, as well as, you're constantly have this like fear of like being productive and all that, which is also part of the high functioning. That's what I got out of it at least.
Whoa, you guys actually got complete different things than I did. Because in my head,
Okay.
for you know how Doug said it, it doesn't impact your life. I think It
Mhm.
really does. And
Mhm.
you said it doesn't. It, it's like more hidden. It's not noticeable, right? Where I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
I don't think that's the truth at all. Because I saw a TED talk on a person with high functioning anxiety, right? And they were basically talking
Mm,
about it on stage in front of like millions of people, or the
mhm,
video millions of people, and then the stage was like 8,000 in person. And basically, the way they described it is, pretend you're a car, right? And you're on the outside, shiny, beautiful, functioning. But internally, under the hood, the engine is rusted and or like going through some shit that you wouldn't know,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
So to the outside world, you're perfect, you're normal human being, but internally, inside your head, shit's hitting the floor, right? And I guess they also describe situations where it's like, for example, doing the TED Talk itself, they're confident. They're fully on stage, aware, capable of saying anything and everything, speaking whatever comes to mind without anybody affecting them, right? And then they go to like a grocery store and they see a person, even let's say, for example, you're at the counter checking out and you have to talk to the lady that scans your items, right? um, Even talking to them, that conversation is hard for them. They like get nervous, anxious, be like, what is this person gonna think of me? Am I gonna say the right thing here? And then most of the time, they just put their head down and stare at the floor, wait for the interaction to complete, and then move on. You know what I mean? But the difference point, the thing that actually separates them, is quote unquote career related. Anything that contribute to success in societal
mhm.
views. They are very successful individuals. And yeah, that's why it's called high functioning, because you function highly even though you have anxiety. And then yeah, that's what I got out of it.
Whose TED Talk was this?
I
Do you
forgot
know?
the name.
Like the name?
I forgot it exactly. I will send it to you. Um and
Okay.
then you can watch it after. But yeah.
Mm. Yeah, no, I think it's definitely like I guess I don't know if this is like when I was reading into it, I was very fascinated by the whole thing because like on paper, I want to say, right? On paper, like from what you can see,
Mhm.
the symptoms are kind of like good. You know what I mean? Like in the sense that you're always driven to accomplish XYZ. You know what I mean? On paper, that's what like on paper might be wrong, but that's what you're seeing. You know what I mean? Like as a third party, when you meet someone with this, you're seeing, oh wow, this person was like always working towards this. They must be so passionate, so interested, so smart, XYZ, right? Whatever it is. Um, and then you learn about like kind of this where the internal engine and all that is like rusted. So I guess how do you think you differentiate between the two is what I'm saying. Like let's say you were to meet someone who is very passionate about something, right? Let's say they want to build stuff or just around the house. They love building stuff, right? So they're building a deck maybe one day, maybe the other day they're like completely like finishing the basement, maybe the next day they're, you know what I mean? Like that's all they do, let's say. Or in business terms, let's say they're always like serial entrepreneurs, they're always starting some business, blah 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 blah, right? How do you know if that person is driven, like just driven, or if it's high functioning anxiety disorder? Like what would be because and there is a difference between the two. I think there are people who are high functioning, but their engine, to say, is not rusted or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess to answer that, I don't think you could ever tell. Like, I think the person that has it, or the driven person, the person that it's always working, has to come to you and in conversation, they need to let you know that, like, oh, I just do this stuff because of this. And people with anxiety, I feel like very little people would. be actually that open and let other people know that like, yo, this is what's going on. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a hard one. I don't think you can ever figure it out. I think that's the whole point of high functioning anxiety. I also think the way I think about it differs a lot, and I'll explain why. I think this might, and then I'll get your guys' opinions on this. So there's there's a big difference between having anxiety, and being diagnosed with a disorder of having anxiety. And then like the big difference is this: all of us, all three of us, to some point have anxiety. Honestly, a better way to explain it, and that will relate to you both actually, is there's OCD. There's also OCPD, which is obsessive compulsive personality disorder. You guys have watched Friends, right? Monica would be known as having OCPD. She likes having things in a specific way. But would you guys agree that it affects her like way of living? Like it shapes the way she lives,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You guys don't have either. You guys, like I have it to a lesser extent, much lesser, but you guys would just have obsessive or compulsive traits where sometimes
Hmm.
things just need to be a certain way just because it annoys you, right?
Right. Hmm.
Which is the same. So now put that in anxiety. All three of us have some level of anxiety. Like you get stressed before meetings. You're anxious about something and it's affecting that one day at work, or it's affecting your one
Hmm.
day going out. You're anxious, oh,
Yeah.
I feel like I have to talk to this important person, or oh, like this is due tomorrow, so I'm anxious about it, right? That's called being anxious. When you're diagnosed with like a disorder, it's called a disorder, and that's what the DSM-5 is all about. Every DSM-5 criteria, Atharva, um, at the ending, the one line will be it has to affect the person's quality of life. So like people with anxiety, like generalized anxiety disorder, like they're constant. They're described as warriors because like literally most days they'll be like, "Oh, my parents went out today. Are they gonna come back? Is like a drunk driver gonna hit them randomly?"
Mm.
You know, it's constantly hindering their quality of life. So like I feel like it's high functioning anxiety the way I see it. It's hard to say if someone has it in the background or if they're just driven without anxiety, is because it's not really it's not really a disorder. It's not really a disorder if someone has high functioning anxiety. It's just that they, as a person, are successful, and in the background, they just have extra worries that they cope well with. They're not letting it affect their life as much. And honestly, the way I see it, like, I mean, I watched like a lot of Sidemen. Have you guys watched the Hot Ones on Sidemen, the episode where
Yeah.
they're eating the hot wings?
Yeah.
No, so like they're eating hot wings. There's this one question where it's like, what's like one of your like deepest darkest secrets? And like everyone in the Sidemen we would say is like pretty successful, right? And like Josh comes on and he's eating the hot wing and he's eating and he's like, sometimes I have like crippling anxiety in the shower. He's like he worries about everything and anything some days. Outwardly, no one can tell that based on like seeing his videos. So he functions normally on a daily, but when he's alone, like he finds ways to cope with what his anxiety is. So it's honestly, I agree. I agree with Kusha. It's honestly probably impossible to tell unless someone tells you. But that's the way I differentiate the two. Like they're really good. People who have high functioning anxiety are really good at not letting it really debilitate them from doing stuff in their lives. They're just really good at either coping with it or suppressing it, which could be a good or bad thing, but it is.
So I guess then, like, I don't know. I feel like maybe this kind of strays a bit away from what we were originally talking about. But then the thing is, like, why is this not diagnosable? Because the thing is, if all anxiety, the person who's suffering from it has to kind of like seek help actively, like they have to realize they're suffering for it and from it, and then seek out help, right? So then couldn't this also not be the same? Like if someone has high functioning anxiety, could they not just also seek out help and then all of a sudden it would be diagnosable? No. Like I don't see, like now I'm curious what the difference is then, you know?
Actually, I'm curious as well. Cause yeah.
I think
Sorry.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just gonna say I think the difference would be like if someone, let's say that take an example of someone who has high functioning anxiety and they come across this term, like they didn't know they had it, right? Like, let's say outwardly they're really successful, Um, but some days after work, they're just an anxious person, right? If they feel like it's affecting the way they live their life to a great extent, it's called like functional, like a functional effect, like functional daily activities of daily living effect, or like, or not activities of daily living, functional quality of life effect. Like
Mhm.
if it's rendering them unable to do certain things, they feel like, then they could get it diagnosed, and they will be diagnosed. It just won't be called high functioning anxiety anymore because it's not formally recognized. It'll be called one of the anxiety
Mm.
disorders. Like I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty. There's like a bunch of disorders. Like there's a generalized one I told you guys about where they worry about
Yeah.
everything. There's this one disorder where people have where they're scared of being in places where um it's not claustrophobia. It's an enclosed space. It's like a mall. A mall is huge, right? But they'll be scared of being in a mall because they feel like if they have a panic attack, it's like a positive feedback loop. They're afraid that if they have a panic attack, no one's gonna be willing to help them, and that perpetuates them into not visiting malls ever.
Mm.
That's like a quality of life effect, right? Whereas I think it's not diagnosable because, like I said, I wouldn't diagnose. I mean, like, obviously it's hard to tell, but like people who just are worried about things or get a little anxious about things, but they still go on with their day, you wouldn't really diagnose them with anxiety disorder, you know? That's the best way I can put it.
Wow. I don't know, cause if this is like a, it sounds pretty bad. I feel like because like I feel like if I were to suffer from this, it sounds very, very difficult, right? To always have like this thing kind of eating away at me. But the reason I'm so like surprised by this, or that it's not diagnosable or whatever, is because I feel like it's like such a, it's like a trap almost, in the sense that all these things are considered good in society. You know what I mean? Like the drive to work more and everything. Like, if someone has, let's say, a panic attack, or they're, constantly worried about, let's say, germs, or let's say even like whatever other forms of OCD there are, right? So like, let's say super organized, like everything needs to be rectangular or whatever, right? People will notice that, and then they will ask, why are you so picky with, like everything being in at a 90, like, right angles, or like super organized, right? But this, and they'll ask it as like a, maybe you should get it checked, maybe it's like a little too much or whatever, right? Whereas this, I feel like it's a lot less common for people to question, yo, why are you working so hard on this? Or why are you so driven for success or whatever? Because these are considered like innately good things, though it could be like eating away at the person unknowingly. You know what I mean? And so that almost drives the person, that reinforces their idea that, okay, I should work for success because everyone seems to be impressed, or like they like me because I'm all working for success, or I'm this successful or whatever, which is actually worse for someone who's suffering from this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good point. I think um I agree. In society, especially today, um, like even myself, like if I were to see someone who's like consistently anxious about not doing well, but it's driving them, like innately I wouldn't think it's a bad thing. I think you're right. Like the only time like I would really tell, like I would be instinctively tell someone to I would instinctively tell someone to get help is like if it's perceived as a negative, right? And so I think it's a good point. I don't have an answer for that. I think in today's society, my answer is in today's society, the onus falls on the person who has the high functioning anxiety to realize that maybe this is a bad positive feedback loop, and that maybe their life would be better even though they think they're successful externally with materialistic rewards, but their life will be subjectively better if they get help. I don't think as society, I mean, maybe like really good, like professional, like psychiatrists or like psychologists can tell the difference, right? Because they're trained in this stuff. Like the general population probably does not. Like I think the general population thinks how you explained it. So yeah, I agree. I don't have a
Yeah,
better
like
answer.
if you were the individual that has it, for example, right? Like I don't think you would ever know that you have it unless because it's not taught in school, it's not common knowledge, and the only way you'd come across it is if, oh my God, let me go try therapy. And then I guess a therapist would then inform you that these actions that you have and all of this behind the scenes motivation for your drive, it's it's inherently due to anxiety. Because I don't think you would know, right? Like, how would you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's I don't know. I feel like people are a lot less likely to call it out because of all the positives that it looks like it's bringing. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Whereas actually it could. So do you guys think you know anyone who suffers from this, or do you guys even like celebrities?
Ooh, I know celebrities, yeah. So I actually have
Yeah.
a list. I have a list. So had no
Ah, I
idea.
came prepared.
I had okay, shut up. I have no idea that this was actually something affecting these people until um preparing for this actually. So first person
Mhm.
is Mr. Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds. And you don't see this
Mm.
coming at all, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm a major fan of Ryan Reynolds. I think bro is
Yeah, I
funny.
think every guy is.
Yeah, right? Like he's got a lovely family, lovely career,
Yeah, yeah,
confidence, charisma, the whole shebang. But
yeah.
apparently he's been very open with it that like he has anxiety that's eating away at him behind the scenes, and most of the drive is actually due to it. And then I guess number 2 would be Taylor Swift, the most successful singer that's a female, right? And out of nowhere, bro has anxiety. And then the last one I have is Michael Phelps, like the most decorated Olympian of all time, the most gold medals, and then the only reason he swims is because it's an escape to everything that's eating away inside of him. And yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine, like, you hear these names, and I think I saw these as well. I think I saw Selena Gomez as well on it and whatnot, right? So imagine you hear these names, and now you know that they suffer from high anxiety disorder or whatever. What are the odds? Um, Someone's gonna be like, you're to Michael Phelps, for example. You care so much, you love swimming so much. You know what? Stop trying so hard on it. You know what I mean? Or for Taylor Swift, that oh you're so good at music and whatnot. Stop doing the stuff that's making you this successful. Like the odds of that happening is so little compared to something that's actually negative. Because like Taylor Swift, the more music she makes, the more listeners she gets. That's always gonna be deemed as a positive. You know what I mean? So I think, and she's also less likely to actually heed that advice and actually like lower, I don't know, maybe that drive or whatever high functioning drive they have because it's not going to yield as good results. You know what I mean?
So I mean, wait. Um is high functioning anxiety always when the person has anxiety towards not being successful or whatever they have, and then that's driving them? Or can it be because I thought it can also be like, which is what I think it can't this be the case where someone has like general anxiety, but then they're also successful. Like they're completely independent things, right? Like this in certain individuals, like Michael Phelps, for example, he is just he has anxiety, but he is also a good swimmer, right? And yeah, like swimming relieves him from stress, but it's not the object of anxiety that's driving him to swim. It's not like, oh, if I don't swim, like I'm gonna be like I'm swimming because I want to be successful. I'm anxious about not being successful. You know what I mean? I think like that. I was thinking that it can be both ways, you know, because I feel like there's a lot of people who are successful and have anxiety probably, but I don't know, like I can't think of anyone personally who's like I need to work all day because if I don't work, I'm anxious about not working, like to that level.
Actually, yeah, sorry, no. I think you are right. I think the reason I'm saying it this way is because the more the examples I saw were of like CEOs. So like Elon Musk, Jensen Huang and whatnot, like the CEO of Nvidia, who described their high functioning anxiety in the terms of work. But I guess actually you're probably right in the sense that for celebrities like Selena or Taylor Swift or Michael Phelps, it might not have been that way and it might more be as an escape. I feel like that actually makes more sense.
Yeah, it actually plays very
Um,
nicely. That book I gave you, like whenever you do read it, I've read like half of it, right?
mm,
Um,
the
and like
courage to be disliked.
yeah, the courage to be just like
Mm,
it literally speaks to this. It's like trauma is not like a cause and effect thing, you know, trauma, anxiety, all this.
mm,
Like, and it's a very it's somewhat of a controversial book. It's like, you know, if trauma was a cause and effect relationship, then everyone who goes through the same trauma would end up more or less the same way. And
mm,
like, you put that in the context of these people, like, if like we don't know what's going on in their lives, but if Ryan Reynolds, Michael Phelps, like, if they're suffering from like anxiety disorder, if they have crazy anxiety, but then they're able to like cope with it in a good way, channel it to like and find a good way to relieve stress and all that and become successful, then it's like, you know, it's not just that all anxiety is really debilitating in that manner, right? Some people have life circumstances that don't allow them to pursue successful things. Like some people don't have the financial means and all that. Some people have other family like issues. Some people have, you know, you name it. But it's not like oh, if I have anxiety, I will not be like contributing to contributing to society in a meaningful way because I can't. You know,
mm.
it does play into that really well. So yeah, like in my mind, it was like a either people can be successful and have anxiety at the same time independently, or people can be have anxiety that drives them to be successful, but then they're not really like they can be happy with it, but it's like they know at the back of their mind it's because of anxiety.
Yeah, I guess it's a lot more general than what I had seen of mostly just CEOs.
Okay, so from what I've seen, right, I guess the number one motivator for people to do these things, like for example, Taylor Swift's case, the number one reason that she puts on this persona of being the ideal woman, successful singer, all that stuff is because now that she has the fame, she doesn't want to be knocked off her pedestal. And I guess it's that fear that's motivating her to do the things she does, right? And I don't know, it feels like now I'm questioning this even more. Do you guys think high functioning anxiety is something you have innately, or like it's just apparent that once your brain develops, you have it or not? Or can you develop it post success? For example, like now that you're successful, now that you have things or people that are having, like, it's like a spotlight of sorts. People are looking at you, people are wanting you to fail. Would that create a newfound anxiety where like I can't disappoint, I can't prove these guys right, I can't be unsuccessful anymore? You know what I mean? I wonder if there's an answer to that actually.
I don't know. I think you can it can spring up at any stage of your life. I feel like so it can be pre-success or post-success, I guess. Or you could I wonder, I mean you can probably also just have it without success. Like
Yeah.
maybe, right? I don't know.
I guess
But
the reason I'm asking is, let's say for example, none of us have it. Is there a chance
mm,
that we could get it?
I think well, first of all, I think springing up at any age, so like this is known that like people can be genetically predisposed to be worriers. Okay,
mm,
and like that's a known fact. Now, the rest of it is subjective. Everyone can have their own opinions about it. My opinion is that your environment, your upbringing, how your parents treat you, how your social and your like social circle you interact with, and how they treat you, um, that is actually one of like the biggest contributors to how you face how anxiety develops and how you face stressors and all that. Now, I think
Wait, sorry. So you're saying it's a bit of nature and nurture.
yeah, yeah, 100%. In
Okay.
my opinion, it's 100% a bit of like genetics. Like in terms of like some people can be predisposed to being warriors.
Mm.
Um, but in my opinion, this majority of it is like environment based. And so I feel like it can happen to anyone, but if someone gets to a stage where like they they're anxious, so now I'm talking about a subset of people. Let's say it's not like they have anxiety and they're like independent and successful. I'm talking about like people who are anxious and then they're anxious about not being successful, they're anxious about a lot of other things, and this is driving them to be successful. I think it's just human nature at some point the anxiety of not being successful might go away and turn into the anxiety of being not like Taylor Swift has, the anxiety of losing the power or the status that you've created. I think that's just human nature at that point. But I feel like again, the more we talk about it, the more I think I agree with. Well, like the more I realize my viewpoint is that people who have high functioning anxiety, um, they're at a point where instead of the general or like majority of people who have anxiety, instead of running away from situations, not facing their fears in a positive manner or not coping well, they're just more adept at turning it into a positive, maybe hiding their symptoms, but they've just become more adept at hiding it, and that's why they are who they are. So I think that's just what how I think about it now. Because I don't think it can just, and to answer your question, but can it happen to us? I think I mean I wouldn't call it anxiety as much as human nature for us to. All of us have been given good platforms to become successful by our parents. So if you call it anxiety or if you call it just worry about us trying to get jobs or trying to be successful, that's a personal thing. But I think that once we do become successful, it's very possible that some of us can be very worried that we won't be able to provide what we were provided to our kids just because we mess up in one stage of our life. Because I mean, life changes in like a turn of like seconds to days, right? Anything can happen. Yeah, in my opinion, it could happen to any of us. It doesn't have to be something that we have right now.
So I think it could happen to us for sure. I would not discount that. It definitely could. Um I also think it probably is what you're saying, like the definition wise, that they've become hardened to kind of hiding it and outwardly showing the good side of them and all that, and leave what's actually going on in their head for the background kind of. Um but then the question I have is it a bad thing? Is it bad to have high functioning anxiety? Cuz in a way, like, should you be worried if you have it? Because the stuff it is giving you is actually good. Like in Taylor Swift's eyes, that drive to stay number one, let's say, is wonderful for her. It will bring her more benefits, right? Like she'll be more famous. She'll probably get more money than she already has. Whatnot, whatnot, whatnot. Right? Her image, reputation, all that is still gonna be like star studded. She'll be like a, I don't know, triple A list celebrity or whatever it's called, right? So then is it bad? Is it bad to have this anxiety? Because if you're good at keeping it in the background, you're probably good at handling it. So then, and it's giving you good. So like, you know what I mean?
I think it is. I think it is bad. And the reason is because all of the success is a trade-off of your mental health, right? And all of this comes at the cost of, it could be multiple things. It could be your sleep. It could be just like the thoughts racing into your head so you don't have any moment of peace, quiet, and comfort. And I feel like if you're sacrificing that, it's not worth it. I don't know. I just value peace and the sane of like a sane mind over all of this go go go, maintain your success, etc., etc. So I think it is a bad thing, yes.
Yeah. Mine, I have a slightly different opinion. I think if you're, I think again, like we talked about, I think there's two subtypes, right? I feel like the 100% bad is if you have general anxiety that's affecting your life, and then you're actually successful. I think regardless of your success, you need to get your general anxiety checked out. There's no way if you have that, there's like you're most likely not coping in a positive way, and you're just not letting people see it. That's the only difference to that. But people who are using anxiety as like a driver for success, I feel like yeah, it is only bad if it is really negatively affecting either your health in terms of sleep and like peace and or your family life. I think other than that, let's say like your relationships are good, right? And you're sleeping well. But let's say you don't really have a sane moment of like a moment of sanity, right? You're always thinking. In my opinion, like I said, this is I see it as like as a marker of, so my answer is I think it's good. I see it as a marker of a really good mental resilience. I think you're one of the few, you're in the small subset of people in this world who can take positives from negative situations or can even cope with trauma in a really good way and outwardly put it as success. And I think in my opinion, it might be a worth it trade off for your sanity of mind. And plus, you'll pass on those genes, so your kids might be better at handling trauma.
Interesting.
Wait, you think the
Interesting.
ability to deal with trauma is related to your genetic component?
I think a subset of it is yeah. I
It
think
is.
maybe not genetics, but maybe like actually maybe it's very small genetics, but maybe like how you raise kids, like someone who has really negatively dealt with trauma their entire life. I don't think they're gonna instill positive reinforcement in their kids. I think they're gonna if the kid doesn't, if from a young age, I think if the kid is older, they can think for themselves, right? But if
Mhm.
someone from the second they can understand words, has been told like, oh, if because trauma is inevitable, everyone goes through stuff in their lives that is not going to be ideal, and if from the second you're encountering obstacles, our obstacles are just really opportunities for resilience, in my opinion. So as the second you encounter that and you're being taught from your role models is like, oh, it's not your fault. This is the world's fault. You know, like you just go
Hmm.
dive back into your shell. I think people, and it's not like saying like they're doing it on purpose. It's just some situations make it much harder for people to cope, right? Like again, I mean I don't even know how the celebrities you listed out their childhoods went. Some people might have really rich parents. Some people might have a lot of friends. On the other hand, some people might not be rich, might not have a good friend group. So I think your upbringing, like I said, upbringing plays a big role into it. So I think it's a good trait to have. Like, yeah, it is a big trade off. Um, as long as it doesn't affect your mental health. Like, I think I think I agree with Kushla. It's not worth it if like when you're off work and like your kids ask you to spend time with them and you're like, no, I'm gonna go. I need to work on this even when I'm at home all the time. You're not going to their soccer games. You're not going to their sport events. You're not spending quality time with them. That's not a worth it trade off.
Hmm.
It's a very fine line I draw. But yeah, I think it is probably beneficial to some extent.
So is it I feel like so this is where it kind of goes back to the distinction of what exactly this is, right? Because is it really high functioning anxiety disorder if it is not affecting your relationships and your mental health and whatnot? Do you get what I mean? Because if it's not affecting it, then is it a disorder or are you just super like driven? You know what I mean?
I agree, and I think that's why it's not diagnosed in the DSM-5. I think if it was or maybe it will be in the future. Maybe we're just ahead of the curve. But if it does, you literally encompass what I explained about disorder perfectly. And I think even I missed it when I was explaining it. If it's impacting your life in that manner, then it should be diagnosed and you should probably seek help.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I guess what I said was more or less, I guess if you think about it in a broader, like if you just look at the forest instead of the trees, it's more of just common sense in terms of you're just someone who has anxiety and you're just turning it into a positive. That's good. And if it's affecting your lives in the way that we said, then it's not good. But it is a disorder. Then is this maybe right now it's not diagnosed. I think right now if someone had that and went to the doctor, it'd probably be a diagnosis, generalized anxiety disorder. Wouldn't be anything else.
Do you think it's treatable? Do you think once you have it, you could get rid of it, or do you think it's just there and you have to deal with it? Could there be an off switch?
I mean, if you're asking me if anxiety is treatable, yeah, there's proven treatments. You just go on SSRIs
Like,
usually.
would those work?
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
sorry, what's an SSRI?
It's a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Feelings of anxiety, feelings of depression, feelings of worry, they're driven by usually an overactive mind in some situations, an underactive mind in other situations. So, in a nutshell, it's basically um, it's increasing the amount of good chemicals in your brain in a simplified way. Um, and
Sorry, are these like I don't know much about this, but are these like similar to antidepressants?
these are antidepressants.
They are antidepressants.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah.
Right.
It's very funny. Antidepressants are actually the first line treatment for a lot of things aside from
Mm.
depression. Like, they treat depression first line, obviously, but they're the treatment for OCD. You'd be surprised.
Oh,
Yeah, some antidepressants are first line. It's actually very interesting. But regardless, um, yeah, I think anxiety itself is treatable, but who knows? Maybe I don't have a good answer for that. I think someone else, one of you might, but I think your innate. That's again because that's treating your innateness, right? That's treating your brain's chemistry. But who knows? By the time you're successful like that and you have this anxiety, you're the way you think and the way you deal with situations might not be changeable. Maybe that's not going to be able to be changed.
I would like to think that it is treatable because I think I'm a strong believer of the fact that you can change the way you think about like things in general. So I think it is definitely treatable. Um, Actually, that's so contradictory. I think it's definitely treatable. I think it's treatable, right? I'm not an expert, so I don't know, but I would like to think it is treatable because ultimately what you're doing is just you're changing the way you see things because you see things differently compared to like an average Joe, let's say, right? Which is why you have this high functioning anxiety thing. So all you have to do is revert back to that thinking. Obviously, a lot easier said than done. But I think you can like do like a hard rewiring in the way you see things and treat yourself of it. That being said, though, I think a lot of these people and the examples we listed off would probably not even opt for the treatment. You know what I mean? They would not want to unless I don't know, and they can't be forced to, right? So I think people in these situations who suffer from this, things for them would have to get a lot worse before they get better. So they would have to really, really go to like shit. Like their life, their social life, their mental health, their all that has to really get bad for them to realize, yo, okay, maybe I need to change something like a hard reset on like my current lifestyle, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess then, like, in the case of Michael Phelps, right? He's an athlete. His career has a timeline based on his age, right? After a certain point, you can no longer be at your peak in your career. And once you retire, what are you going to do with this anxiety? Because now you can't devote it to your career, which is swimming. How are you going to use this in a different means? Or like, are now after retirement, are you going to go seek the counseling, the help to hopefully treat this? Because yeah, imagine you're in his shoes. What would you do?
I mean, if it was anxiety driven by a lack of success or a want to maintain success, like then anxiety would disappear once you feel like actually this could be very select people, but some select people it might just disappear once you feel like you've made it in life. But yeah, I guess the subset of people that get this is probably people who never think they've achieved enough. So that raises a very good point. I don't know. Maybe also just a side note, like if you guys wanna like what Atharo was saying about changing the way you think and the way you approach situations in someone who's trying to treat this. Like I said, SSRIs are the medication, but it was a running joke in us that like you can never fail the psych exam because all the answers are either an SSRI, this other medication, and CBT. CBT is called cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's literally like the most umbrella term, but it's like this technique that psychiatrists and psychologists have, and it changes the way you think. Like an example of it is like in OCD, when someone has OCD, yeah, a subset like I said, it's an umbrella term. Cognitive behavioral therapy. One of the subsets for OCD treatment is like you force the person to like do the thing that they're afraid of happening to show them that what they're scared of is never going to happen. Like no, they don't need to turn the light switch off 10 times for someone to not break into their house. Like you have to force them, sometimes against their will, to do it only 8 times first, and then show them that no, look, no one broke into your house. Like, so cognitive behavioral therapy is the way you change how you think, along with medications. You guys can read about that; it's pretty interesting. But yeah, you raise a good point. I don't know. I think your life, if you can't deal with being retired, then you have other problems. I think that's probably a disorder at that point.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I want to say I don't know how common this is in real life, but there's definitely like movies and fictional things where you hear about this athlete who in their prime who was like him, like they were they were breaking all these records, they got all this fame and glory, blah blah blah, and then they were tired or got injured and they couldn't get to that point. So then they like start coaching or something so that they can kind of through their student achieve what they would have. You know what I mean? So I feel like again, I don't know. Maybe this like never happens in real life, but I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Phelps or like whoever actually had some severe case of this, despite retirement or whatever, they still somewhat pursue something like coaching or something like that to like kind of keep because it's an escape for them, right? So like to stay in that escape, anything around that realm or in that field is like sufficient to keep them, I don't know, like at peace.
Yeah,
But yeah, if they can't deal with it, then obviously it's yeah, like it
no,
could be pretty bad. Because at some point, like you're gonna get too old. Like that's just biology,
yeah.
right?
I mean, I hope that. I mean, personally, I would hope that like at some point my family, like I mean, I hope that comes at a very early age. But obviously, in our 30s, in our late 20s, and our 30s, into our 40s and like early 50s, we want to contribute to society by working for most of our life. But like, I hope at some point you realize that no, my family is enough for
Mhm.
me. I've done enough. I want to reach that point. So
Right.
I don't
Have
want
you
that.
guys heard of the idea of the hedonic treadmill?
No.
It's interesting. I feel like that's why a lot of people with this probably are on the hedonic treadmill, which is basically like this endless. I might be getting the definition wrong here, but basically what it says is I think people return to a baseline level of happiness. So, like, let's say you get your first car. It's a Toyota, right? Let's say, but you're really happy because it's your first car and whatnot. So your like happiness peaks, but then eventually, after like a few months or a few weeks, it'll plateau and you'll go back to your baseline happiness, right? And now a Toyota, it doesn't make you happy anymore. Now you want a Ferrari, right? So then let's say you get an SUV and then your happiness peaks and then it goes back to baseline. And then you get a Ferrari and then it peaks, but then you go back to baseline. And then after that you need, let's say, a Bugatti or something like that. And because of this like return to baseline constantly that you're getting, you're always working for the next shiny object and it never stops. So it like kind of shows like innate greed of people because you just keep aspiring for more, thinking it'll make you more and more happy, but it never actually does. You know what I mean? And so I don't know at what point this would like end, I guess on average, like how old people get when they just stop caring about it and they just want to, I don't know, relax and live a retired life or maybe people in these cases don't, right? So I know like a lot of I know like a lot of celebrities and whatnot are very attached to their like fame and glory or their looks or whatever. That's why you see a lot of like plastic surgeries sometimes when some of these actors or whatever get older or models, right? Because they kind of have to let go of it, but they can't like cope with it and whatnot, so they try and get it back, you know. So yeah, but it has to end at some point. I just don't know how well that is received by people who suffer from this.
I think it'll happen um randomly. You know what I mean? Once you hit a certain point and life experience catches up with you, there will come a day where you're like, okay, there are better things in life than consistently working. And it's just a feeling thing. I don't think there's any way to predict it or anything. It'll just happen one day. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's also very subjective. Like how old is Elon now?
Oh, I want to say he's like
50, 60?
60s. Yeah.
I would say 50 something.
He's not
Elon,
Yeah, I don't
retiring
know.
anytime soon either.
It doesn't seem
Elon,
like it, yeah.
I don't know. Elon's crazy, but again, he's a. I think Elon's a bad example of talk about this because even if he may have high functioning anxiety, he is also. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's diagnosed with autism, right? So he's just like
Oh, right.
there's like two terms actually. We actually had a lecture on it recently. Like there's high functioning and low functioning. They're trying to get away from the term low functioning, but Elon is probably considered like the peak of like high functioning. Um,
Yeah, he's probably like an extreme case.
yeah, they're just so
Yeah,
focused, and so like that probably
yeah,
affects his life and probably contributes to. Because he like
right.
sleeps in the factory sometimes and like all that. He just doesn't stop.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, his case definitely is very extreme. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like treating this is yeah, I can't like I feel like if I were to the best of my ability that I can put myself in these guys' shoes, I feel like I would be very, very reluctant to change.
Yeah.
Because I feel like these people are also very drawn to. I think actually this goes back to the upbringing. I feel like in your upbringing, if you are taught in a very like strong manner that whatever you accomplish, right, the level of accomplishments you have is the level of love you receive. It reinforces this thing that I have to accomplish bigger and better things so that I will get bigger and better love, I guess. You know what I mean? Or appreciation or respect or whatever you want to call it, right? And I feel like if that's strongly reinforced in your upbringing, you are a lot more likely to have something like this. You know?
Bro, that's
Yeah,
such a red flag. Holy.
I agree. It is.
Yeah.
And I agree with the notion, yeah.
Damn.
I don't know. It's honestly kind of scary. So I think, and that's the thing. If it's so deeply rooted within you, treating it just makes it so much harder. So how do they treat, like, what are, apart from the, so I think you had said cognitive behavioral therapy, was it
Therapy, yeah,
CBT?
yeah.
And then the drugs, right?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. Are there any other ways that are like very commonly implemented that maybe like could work? Maybe not even for this, but like other anxiety disorders in general.
Let's see, actually. Actually, like, because usually we, as students, we just focus on like the very common things that people
Hmm.
do. Let
Hmm.
me see, I just pulled it up here. It's very easy. Um, Treatments, CBT meds, CBT, general threat, PRN meds, SSRI, SNRI, so different classes of meds.
And what is the like, I guess, success rate with these meds?
Oh,
Are there any like side effects it has, like
oh
symptoms?
yeah, SSRIs have side effects here. Let me,
Yeah.
um,
Like, does it give you like crazy mood swings? Because I guess if it's changing the way you think, kind of.
no, not if you take it, I think, consistently. I think it won't. Um, there was actually, we were actually told, we had to, uh, remember success rates. So, I've forgotten by now. But yeah, it's honestly just CBT and SSRIs.
Mm.
There's not many. Depression is its own separate thing. There's a fun fact with that. You guys know, like, how in TV shows and pop culture, shocking people is seen as like a very negative thing. Like, it's like, oh, like, it'll be like edits, like really small, like very highly cut clips of like person getting shocked, like shaking around, getting shocked in their brain.
Mm.
Mm. It's called electroconvulsive therapy.
Yeah.
Um, Actually a very highly effective treatment for major depressive disorder, which is one of the big three in psychiatry.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
it's not like how it is in TVs. That's why it's actually, it's pop culture that makes it really hard to get people to agree, because people don't realize it's not going to be like that. Like, when you get prescribed that and you agree, like, you go to like a proper facility, and anesthesiologist puts you under, like, you're asleep, and then they're like
Oh.
doing controlled shocks to your brain. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
Crazy.
no, nothing, guys. It's just CBT, SSRIs. Oh, here. Um, yeah, so prognosis without treatment. So again, this is very like generalized, right? You gotta like generalize these findings.
Mhm.
Everyone's different, but um, for 60%, so only half of individuals seek treatment with a generalized anxiety disorder. Um, for 60% of individuals without a specific treatment, their thing will develop over years. And then benefits of CBT. So CBT benefits, like, if you do it, like, if you finish a whole course of CBT, like, the benefits have shown to be like last 12 months or more. And then there was a number. I'll look while we talk.
No,
Um,
yeah, yeah, sure. But
because there's
the
more
reason I
specific
ask is
numbers. Yeah.
because when I was looking into it, like how this would be treated, I guess, I saw something very different from meds. I saw regular exercise.
Hmm.
I saw regular exercise, regular sleep, um, and I think something else. I think regular, I think it
Diet
was like
problem.
scheduled relaxation or something. I don't know. Something like that. But basically like good physical and mental habits in general. I have no idea how exactly this treats it, but I believe it because I feel like a lot happier after
Yeah.
working out. So I think that like I don't know, the more I like think about this and all that, the more I realize that the physical and the mental are actually a lot more linked than we think. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be surprised if that helps.
Yeah. Sorry, I mean, um, just because I'm so used to thinking like this.
Mhm,
Like that is like, yeah, it's part of the treatment. I just didn't say it because aside from like, cancer, like
mhm.
diseases like that,
Yeah.
which
Oh, this is always like a
that's
good.
always a thing that you
Yeah,
should.
yeah, yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. No matter what's going on, they should do that. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
So it's always exercise, good sleep.
Mm,
The third one's actually smoking.
really?
No smoking is like, I think shows up in like all of my lectures. Shows up is honestly is so
Yeah,
bad. It's actually
honestly. Yeah.
some surgeons don't touch people who smoke.
Sorry, what? Can you say that
Some
again?
surgeons, especially vascular surgeons, won't touch
Mm.
people who smoke
Why?
because the surgery is actually pointless. Because they're like, you ask the person, or do you smoke? Yes. Okay. Are you going to continue to smoke, or are you willing to do a rehab? It's honestly up to the surgeon's discretion sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, if they're not willing to do rehab, it's like literally they're going to be back for surgery like pretty soon because their vessels are just so like cooked at that point.
Fried.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, fair enough. Yeah. I'm like yeah, it seems like exercise and sleep and everything is like so fundamental,
Yeah.
which is weird because like I don't think it's like that well practiced. You know, humans are the only animals that like resist the urge to sleep for no survival benefit.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy.
There's not a single animal that resists the urge to sleep, um,
No, but then
unless it's for a survival
that'll
benefit.
tie into blue light, etc., social media, going on your phone.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, no, not always though. Like people will stay up binging Netflix and fight the urge to sleep just to know what happens in the next episode of, I don't know, Grey's Anatomy, let's say, right? Which brings no survival benefit. However, you know, they'll do it.
No, but at a certain point, your body will shut down. No.
Oh yeah, yeah, at a certain point, for sure. But the point is like you still resist it, right? For whatever like whatever time that you can.
Mhm.
Every single other animal, like the second they're feeling sleepy, unless they're in danger, they're gonna sleep,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Okay. Well,
So
I do think this is a good place to call it. I don't think we have much else to talk about unless you guys
yeah,
feel differently.
Yeah, no.
no, yeah,
We can end it,
I
yeah.
think I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last thing, I did find a number. Not a number how the success rate. I don't think they gave us the success rate, but if you discontinue your meds, the meds person, I think it's usually like a year. But if you
Mhm.
discontinue it too early, everyone's different.
Yeah.
40 to 90% of people relapse, so they will start getting anxiety again.
Okay,
Oh
so once
wow.
you're on, you're
Okay.
on.
No, I think
Okay.
there's a sweet point. That's why it says discontinue too early. But the
Right.
one interesting is if you do meds plus CBT, then you will most likely be able to stop the meds earlier because your CBT is helping. So yeah, we can. That's the
Hmm,
last thing.
All right.
crazy.
All
All
right.
right. Well, thank you guys.
See you guys.
No one's gonna be listening at this point, by the way. Like, this is all
Yeah, yeah.
pointless.
I
If
was
the
I was thanking
intro
you
is
guys.
pointless, the outro is pointless. It's better to just fuck off. You know what I mean?
I was thanking you too, but okay, fine.